I'm very happy to be given this by a particular juncture, even as professional marathon athlete, to put our input in this conversation. Kwa leo tungetaka kushukuru President wa Kenya Dr. William Samoei Ruto kwa sababu kuna vitu tunaona kama wakimbiaji yenye amefanya, na sisi kama wanariadha hapo awali hatuko tunaona kama tuko na mwelekeo, na ya muhimu sana kuhusu hii maneno Vision 2030 and beyond. Sisi kama wanariadha tungetaka kusaidia wa Kenya kwa vile mnatuelewa, sisi kama wanariadha tumeweka Kenya kwa picha mzuri pale duniani pale, na kwa hivyo sisi kama wanariadha tungetaka tena tupewe chance ya kuweza kumarket tuwekwe front kwa hii Vision 2030 and beyond, tuweze kama wanariadha kusaidia wa Kenya na kusaidia president kushika mkono kwa hii vision. Alafu ya pili, kama mwanariadha tuko na agenda kama wanariadha tuweze kuchukua Kenya, tusaidia wa Kenya, tusaidie Kenya kuchukua Kenya ielekee Singapore. Tuko na mipango ya kukimbia, kutumia hii talanta yetu yenye Mungu ametusaidia, tukimbia hata tunapokimbia dunia, tuweze kuonyesha Kenya sisi tuko na agenda ya kuchukua Kenya to Singapore and beyond. Within Vision 2030 tunataka kupewa forum ama platform kama wanariadha, tuweze kuketi na president, tuweke mipangilio yetu kwa meza kama wanariadha, ndio tukue considered pia sisi. Asante.
Basi, please pick two more questions from that side. We'll pick from this side. Naona hapo ndio mambo iko moto kabisa, kisha tuanze sasa kumalizia. So 2 questions from that side, as we also get 2 questions from this side as we get closer to winding up.
Thank you. Please allow me to use the stage so that everyone can see me. Thank you. To everyone present, good morning. Good afternoon, sorry, good afternoon. I am Young Fortune. I'm a host of a kids program in Citizen TV. And I also sing gospel songs under 7 Heaven Music, which is owned by Guardian Angel. I am so thankful for this opportunity. And first of all, I want to thank God for giving us this wisdom to actually gather as a nation to talk about something good that will come into the future. Let me tell you, people of Kenya, your children are very, very talented. Do you know that? They are very talented. They have the passion. They have everything that it takes. But there's one thing that they are lacking. It's that support that we need from the government. I would love to request if every county can have a big center where every child there their talent can be nurtured so that they can be able to grow. We look in the social media. Other countries, children are supported. They go outside their countries to share what they have. But in Kenya, we feel a bit of left out. And if that could happen, we would be so happy. In programs like this, let us be called. Let us show you guys what we can do. I also have a point on something I feel is very, very important, and we have not talked about it well. It is the environment. As we know, we have climate change, right? Do you know that we have climate change? And as we move forward, I feel like if we don't work on it, then we are going to be experiencing something worse than what we are experiencing right now, right? So I would love us to take this a chance to continue planting trees. Let the government make sure that industries are using the correct methods to dispose their waste. Yes. So that is what I felt I needed to tell you. Thank you so much for this program. It is very, very helpful. You are building our country, and we feel that we are seen. May God bless Kenya, and may we all work together towards achieving this.
We have a question on this side. One question mark on this side.
Asante. Wakumalizia upande huu kindly.
Hello, Your Excellency. This is Peter Joshua from Kakamega. I'm presenting Nyota, youth from Kakamega region. Now, I have one question. As you know, many youths have got difficulty in accessing financing. In your government, you said something to do with AGPO. AGPO, access to government procurement opportunities for youths. You said that 30% belongs to youths. Now, sometimes we get those chances, yes, but financing, after getting LPO from the national government, to finance that LPO is very hard for us. So, how can this government help us to finance those LPOs as we proceed with supplying new products with national government? Recently, I secured national government LPO worth 600,000 that was to supply 100 bags of maize, but it was turned down due to lack of enough finances. Now, how can this government help us in Vision 2060 to be able to accommodate the youth in accessing the national government funds without requesting for collateral securities? That is logbook and what we call title deeds, which many of youth under 25 doesn't have any of those, Your Excellency. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. My name is Diana Mwansia, a student leader from JKUAT, a school rep, School of Communication and Development Studies. My question is, we have had the conversation about the national conversation about beyond 2030 vision. My question is, after this, what's next? Yes, what's the step after this? Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark Masai.
Asante sana. What next? And perhaps you've read my notes because that is the last question. 30 seconds to all of us. What next? The question has been posed to the president, and he will answer it as a citizen as well when we invite him not to conclude, but to invite the start of this national conversation. Asanteni sana for the passion that you have shown to speak and to weigh in on this. It's not the last day. It's just the first of a journey we've started. A journey he has walked. So in 30 seconds, what next? Mugo.
Thank you. Very quickly, 2 quick points on the way forward. Learning from the lessons of Vision 2030, the challenge of continuity. I want to reiterate the notion that we do need a national law that entrenches Vision 2063. And for that to happen, because you can't ring-fence budgets and performance management to specific flagship projects without that. That's a lesson that we've learned. We need to do that. But for that to happen, we need a robust conversation, a robust national conversation across the entire country. And hopefully, just to take Professor Hino's suggestion of a committee of experts, that committee of experts must be properly constituted, credible, independent, be able to elevate the discourse about politics, and most importantly, engage the public through different mediums or media. The younger generation, as demonstrated by the Hack Kenya 63 group that came here, is an example of many ways of engaging the public. So the committee of experts will have to find a way to engage that type of a public as well, and those diverse media, and be able also to carry the conversation to differentiate between the long-term objectives of Vision 2063 and what is immediate, because what's clearly emerging is that we've got immediate needs that must be addressed, but at the same time, we must think about the future of this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think for me is to say that Kenya at 2063 does not just look at housing in terms of building more homes, but how safe are we in those homes? Not just more roads, but how safe are we when it comes to using those roads? How inclusive are those roads when it comes to even people with disability accessing those roads? Not just bora kazi, but what is the quality of the work that people are doing access to dignified lives, meaningful work, and also reducing the underemployment so that you can match your skills to the work that you wanted to do after school. Kenya at 2063 is able to redistribute care work, is able to reduce the amount of time our caregivers are spending on care work, and they're able to take that time when it comes to development. Kenya at 2063 does not treat violence and femicide as just a gender issue or a women's issue, but it treats femicide and violence as a national security issue that is actually a threat to our development. Kenya at 2063 is just not looking at building more classrooms, but also the quality of education that our children are accessing when it comes to those classrooms, the quality of diet our children are accessing before they even enter that classroom. And lastly, Kenya at 2063 is representative when it comes to women and youth being represented in political institutions. So that we're not talking about a country where the median age is 19, but then the median age of a politician in the continent is 63, and you can get to see that gap. So a country where the majority of the citizens in this country are able to see themselves, not just at the table, but they are also able to shape the conversations on that particular table. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I think this is on. So I think what next is demonstrated by our open mic session. People need to be heard. So we need to convene these forums where people speak their heart, speak their vision, and then we need to listen. And then our committee of experts can craft those into plans that can deliver a lived experience that reflects the aspiration, the dreams of Kenyan people. Thank you.
Thank you. 3 things. I think the first one is, for us from a capital markets perspective, we would love that the capital markets is embedded in Vision 2060. What does that mean? What that means is that every Kenyan, if you have a business, if you have a project, you are able to actually come to our market and raise capital seamlessly without friction. We need to make that possible. Number 2, we need to be able to democratize wealth. Why? You know, I keep going back to our national anthem because I truly, truly do believe it's our regional vision. The national anthem talks about firm may we stand to defend. People will only defend something they own. In order for us to be able to defend the vision in terms of its crafting and implementation, we need people to own both the vision as well as the underlying resources that go to making the vision a reality. And then the last thing is, we actually want to have more listings in our market. We want to have more privatizations, and the government has done a fantastic job of enabling that to happen. Case in point, the Kenya pipeline. But we want to have more of these homegrown businesses listed on the exchange. That way, every Kenyan has a stake. Once Kenyans have a stake, it's much easier and better for them to defend the vision and actually carry it through, whether there's change of government or not, whether there's political ebb or flow, but then the vision stays. Lastly, Mark, we need the vision embedded in law. There needs to be a legal framework that captures the vision and embeds it in law. Number 2, the implementation of the vision needs to be institutionalized. We can't leave it to chance. Number 3, it needs to be audited periodically so that we course correct when we are off the vision.
Not just at the tail end. Marianne.
Thank you. I think what is important, every bus needs a driver to move the bus forward. So what needs to be identified is who is the driver. Who will this committee report to? Is it Adrian? And I'm very willing to vote for Adrian to be the leader of this. Because there must be accountability. So identifying that for me, I think, is most critical. Excuse me. The other thing I want, the enablers must also be looked at in the process. It's my voice. Thank you. Oh, sorry. The enablers are very critical. Policy must support strategy and not the other way around. When we develop policies, it's in order for the strategy to work so that we can achieve the objectives. Sometimes we forget. We develop policy and then the elephants on the ground are struggling to determine where do we go. Thank you.
Foundations. Building the foundation. We need to build the foundation of this vision, and we build it right. Once the foundation has been built and the committee of experts comes up, then we sell the vision. Sell the vision to the right people. And the right people, let's not ignore our children. Let's not ignore our youth. That way, we will be able to have a continuity in whatever we do. So the foundation is very important. Selling the vision is very important. Let's get influencers and know that the church is a great place of influence. Don't forget the church. Let's get to the pastors so we can get the Sunday school, and this will be established in their lives, and Kenya will move forward. Thank you very much.
Yes, a round of applause. And the president, I think, is giving you a standing ovation.
Thank you very much.
As he comes to give also his reflections.
Diana Mwanzia has asked me a very direct question. What next? And I have ideas on what next. But I would rather we agree on what next together. And I would want what next to come from us. Because having the benefit of the office that I hold and being a Kenyan, I have some ideas. But I would rather that we all agree on what next. Let me say two things so that I can suggest, if I may. Listening to everybody who has had the privilege of the mic here, I am persuaded beyond reasonable doubt that we have what it takes to design the next future for Kenya. Listening to the young people here, listening to people from the private sector, listening to the tech community, listening to the civil society teams around this table, and all the other professionals, it is clear to me that we have what it takes to think about the future, that Kenya cannot afford to drift into the future. We have to have a plan for that future. I have listened to the young man, sorry, I don't remember his name, who talked about startups, and that is the next horizon. That is the place where we'll create more jobs. The tech space. And he has even suggested that there should be some compulsory learning around technology because that is how the future is going to look like. Maybe we may not go all the way to make it compulsory, but we provide sufficient incentives to make sure that there are more people in that space. And all the other suggestions that have been made around this forum. My suggestion is that, as I said earlier, this should not be a government project. Government should facilitate this conversation. Article 3 of the Constitution obligates each and every Kenyan individually to protect and defend the Constitution. We are discussing in this conversation how we are going to actualize some of our constitutional rights, whether it is access to health, whether it is, as has been said here very ably, whether it is access to education, the best quality education, whether it is how we are going to deliver on making sure there is no hunger. Every Kenyan has something to eat, and not just something to eat. We have been told here nutrition is very good for our children. How do we make sure that that is available? all the way to every other constitutional right that has been provided for by our Constitution. How do we do that together? So my suggestion is that we put together a multi-sectoral team chosen by the different sectors. The religious sector can give us people, private sector can give us some people, knowledgeable. Civil society can suggest to us who they want. All the other sectors can suggest to us who they want in this team. Because learning from what we have done in the past, and I have been part of those processes, whether it is the constitution-making process or all the other processes, we've always done it together as Kenyans, not by government appointing people, but by citizens suggesting leaders who can lead this process into the future. So my suggestion, and it is not, it's just a suggestion, is maybe we ask different sectors to suggest people who can lead this process into the future, people they trust, people they believe in, so that they can lead us in this process. And then maybe that group of multi-sectoral committee or leaders can then give us a roadmap. If we need a body of experts to help us think through and to consolidate all our thoughts, my suggestion would be whatever it is that we do, they should not go and dictate to citizens what they think. They should go and listen to citizens, for citizens themselves to tell us how they want this to go into the future. I also agree that part of the challenge we had with Vision 2030 was that it wasn't underpinned by any law. It was a mere suggestion. And therefore, different administrations decided what to do. They were not obligated in any way to implement the national vision. So others came, reversed this, others came, tried to push that, and it wasn't coherent. If we do not have a coherent plan, then we drift. And therefore, it is important that we also agree on legislation that is going to guardrail Kenya into where we all want it to go. So that whoever is in office, whoever the president is, they cannot sabotage our collective progress, or they cannot interfere with where we want to go as a nation. It becomes the responsibility of every leader who has an opportunity to take us faster into the destination we agree as Kenyans. So that would be my suggestion on how we take this forward. I am sure there are many suggestions around this table, and we must agree, or let me request that we agree, that if my suggestion is good, I must be willing to give way to a better suggestion by somebody else. And if that somebody else's suggestion is better, they must also be willing to give up to the best suggestion so that we can all move forward together. So that would be my suggestion. Maybe other people can also have an idea of how we take this forward. Because I think one thing is a given, that we are here, it is now upon us, Article 3 of the Constitution, that we are obligated to think about how we move. And each one of us has as much obligation as I do as a citizen for us to give our input of where we want Kenya to be. I deliberately avoided in my statement 2060 or 2063 or 20. That should be also a suggestion by Kenyans. Beyond 2030, what do we want to call it? How do we want to frame that future? and we want to do it together. Finally, I want to ask those of us who are here. We have student leaders, we have religious leaders, we have business leaders, we have political leaders. We must not abscond duty. We must not run away from responsibility. I know there is a temptation. We have civil society leaders. All of us have a stake in Kenya. So sometimes people want somebody else to do, but that somebody else could as well be yourself. So each and every one of us must take ownership, and we must not escape responsibility or run away from our obligation as leaders. And that is why I'm asking all the leaders to work together so that we can facilitate all the citizens to participate in this process. I can just say from a government standpoint that we are available to make all resources available for this process to be truly people-centered, citizen-driven, future-looking. We are ready for that. Thank you very much. Maybe just so that we can benefit from some wisdom, we have one of us, an elder in this room, Dr. Oburu Oginga. He should also...
And as he comes, we may have our seats. Asante sana.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Deputy President, and all protocols observed, dear delegates. Delegates, I'm also just one of you. I'm so impressed, highly impressed by the energy of the youth. The youth has so much energy, and I'm happy that our country has a future. Because when you have such vibrant youth, then you know that this country will be in safe hands. And the development of this country to the level of Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, my late brother used to worry the president, and he used to worry us in the party when we were drafting our own manifestos, that how can we, if at independence in 1963-64, Singapore was exactly at the same level of development as Kenya. Singapore, in terms of income per capita, in terms of the NDP, in terms of GDP, and the development growth, we were exactly at the same level. And my brother used to ask that question. What did Singapore do to rise up to a level where their incomes are now 40 times, incomes per capita are now 40 times that of Kenya? We must think as Kenyans. Where did we go wrong, and where did Singapore go right, that they achieved that level? Professor Hino, who was advisor to Raila when he was Prime Minister, has given you where Singapore is and where Kenya is. He has not told you why Kenya is there and Singapore is there. He only told you where Singapore is. And where Singapore is reachable. We can reach it if we do what Singapore did. First, we must deal with this animal called corruption. Corruption is very difficult to eliminate. It is very difficult. I've traveled all over the world, but I know it is possible to build a society which is non-tolerant to corruption. We can build a society which is completely non-tolerant to corruption. We need also to reduce government wastage in government. We need to tighten our belts, those who are in government. Let us tighten our belts for the people, for the sake of the people of Kenya. And let us make sure that our young population is educated. Education is the only equalizer. And there is no shortcut to education. You have to educate young people who are trained in technical subjects so that you can attract investment. Government can only do infrastructure. Government cannot do development. Development is for the private sector. Government can only participate a little here and there. But for you to attract the private sector, you need to educate the young people. You are not going to import labor from elsewhere. The labor must come from us here. We have to get employment, and the employment is creatable. We can create it only if we educate our young people, and we also need to invest in research. People are talking about development, but they don't think that industry needs innovation. And industry cannot invest in innovation because it is too expensive. In every development plan, government should invest and support universities so that universities develop their capacities to do research, and research which is related to the industries, so that the industries can be innovative and therefore we become competitive in the international market. Kenya must be competitive. The world is moving so fast, and you cannot sleep and think that you only want to feed your people. Feeding your people is a responsibility of the government, making sure that people are fed. But the government will not do your farming for you. Government can only make your fertilizer cheaper. But farming must be done by us. Government must facilitate. For those who have lived as long as I have, I don't know how many of them here, they don't know how difficult it is to gather like this. We tried it when we were struggling for the Constitution, and we gathered for a national dialogue in Bomas in the 90s. And we were killed, we were beaten up by police. Some people ended up in jail for fighting for that Constitution because the government did not like it. When the second bombers came under President K.I.C.C, the government was very supportive of the process. The government supported the process. But during the end, when the government realized that some of the ideas which are coming out of national dialogue is not favorable, the government decided to scuttle it. And therefore, that national dialogue came up to nothing. That Bomas draft is still there, lying in the shelves, and it was produced by Kenyans. So when you have a supportive president who has paid, who is ready to pay for this forum to continue, those of our colleagues who are missing here are missing an opportunity. And an opportunity comes only but once, it never comes again. If you miss it, you will never find it again. Because you will not find another President Ruto. Maybe another president comes with some other ideas and we will not like the ideas. I like the experts here. They are very good. They are very, very good. But you can be so good if you don't have a supportive president. You can have good ideas, but they will lie in the shelves for good. So take this opportunity and make your ideas catapult into fruition, and let us make sure that this forum comes out with a good vision which will guide Kenya up to 2060. 2060. Some of us will not be there. But we are so happy that Kenyans are thinking about it, and I'm so happy. Thank you very much. And I want to thank you. Power is there, and power is supporting you. Asante sana.
Thank
Asante
you.
sana. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A round of applause for Powerman. Thank you very much, Mzee. Thank you very much. I think by way of winding up, I want one governor to speak on behalf of the governors who are here to tell us what are their thoughts on how do we take this process forward. Also, to a representative from the National Assembly and Senate, for them to give us suggestions on how they think this should go forward so that we can agree. I think they have done a lot of listening, and I think it is time for them also to give us suggestions on whether we need a legal framework to establish and to facilitate this process, or whether we need, and whether if we go to Parliament, they will allocate the resources to facilitate this national conversation. I also have listened to the young people. Already, they have worked on a platform, the Hackathon 100. And they have said they will use that platform to collect and to process suggestions from young people and on the digital space. I would suggest that we facilitate that process so that we can collate and collect those views in that manner. Do we have a member of parliament who wants to, or a governor who wants to make a suggestion? The Council of Governors Chair, my good brother, please take the floor.
Thank you. I'll use that one. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, all protocols observed. Your Excellency, I think in my mother tongue, we usually say, or in our setting, don't speak because you've not spoken if there is nothing additional to say. I've heard everyone here. I've seen all the energy. I was conversing with Dr. Ndi there that the first person to have thanked God for giving us the opportunity to be here and to have this conversation was the young girl. And that tells you how smart our kids are. I just want to assure you, Your Excellency, as the Council of Governors, we have bought into this idea. It is timely. I think it is not wise for our politicians to suggest that we postpone this just because we'll have elections next year. Government is there in perpetuity, and as a responsible president who's facing an election, you did the right thing to take note of the fact that the vision that we've had is expiring in less than how many years? 3 years from now, and that you have set the process for replacing it. Your Excellency, we have so much going right for Kenya. And we have seen what Professor Hino also presented, that we've come a long way in implementing the vision that we had. But I want to tell Kenyans to understand that the tone at the top, having the right people in the right places, will also determine whether whatever vision we craft will see the light of day. There are countries, even in the developed world, that have gotten their governance so wrong, their politics so wrong. They have had 7 prime ministers in 5 years, and they are declining. If we don't get governance right, if we don't get politics right, we will not have the right tone at the top, and whatever we're doing here will not be properly implemented. So much as we've been reminded that we're facing elections in 1 year, the Kenyans who are going to elect a president and are going to elect governors, and I will not be one of those governors because I'm already serving my 2nd term, are seated here and are watching. The decisions that you make will determine whether whatever we are crafting here will actually be implemented in the manner that we've seen visions implemented. Your Excellency, as we now cascade this down to the counties, on behalf of the Council of Governors, we want to assure you that we will support it, that the concern by one of the ladies in the panel here, that the contributions and the views will be inclusive. Everyone representing every sector, every part of the community will have an opportunity to contribute. Last but not least, Your Excellency, this is the first vision that's been implemented under the new constitution while counties are in existence and are functional and operational. We have seen what standardization of thought and standardization of implementation can do to equalize this country. Today, affordable housing is happening in Mandera, it's happening in Nairobi, it's happening in Bungoma, it's happening everywhere. This vision that we're crafting now not ought to be one of 2 Kenyas, the Kenya with potential and the Kenya without. It ought to be one for all of Kenya. Professor Hino was sitting next to me, told me how when he went to Turkana, they were asking him, as you came here, have you come through Kenya? Right? They knew he was from Japan, but to find out whether he's been through Nairobi, walikuwa wanamuuliza ulipitia Kenya. That story is now gone. We are all in Kenya. Whether you are at the Mandera border or at Raskamboni border with, in Lamu, or you are in the border to Tanzania, at the border at the Tanzania border. We have one country, Your Excellency, under your leadership. We are seeing development across the whole of Kenya, and Vision 2063 will help us move faster to attain equality and inclusivity. God bless you all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Can we have somebody from Parliament, representing Parliament, to come and say something? Please give him the mic. Please, if you can speak to how do we make this an exercise in public participation as is envisaged by the Constitution.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And Your Excellency, in fact, with the consent of the leader of majority in the Senate, he was telling me that actually what we are doing here today is what Parliament should be doing. We have today constituted ourselves as a People's Constituent Assembly to start that journey of even anchoring this process into law, as you say. And I want to say that we support. And indeed, Your Excellency, you remember on Monday in our meeting in Naivasha, I did suggest that probably it's time that when we have a national vision like this, we not only anchor it in law, but we also find a way where within the governance structures of our political parties, we ensure that even at a time as this, when we are looking at elections and we're looking at people crafting their election manifestos, that all political parties and elective leaders who are looking for elective positions speak to that greater national vision so that we hold you to account when you get elected as to what you are doing within your manifesto in actualizing that dream, that greater dream of the Kenyan nation. Your Excellency, Senate Majority Leader is telling me that I should say that since we craft laws or we have legislative proposals that we draft into bills and then take those bills back to the people for public participation, what we've actually done today is begun with public participation. And we must look at a way where from this process, we then culminate in a legislative proposal in terms of a bill that will now anchor this process of a national vision into law so that we obligate all future leaders to the time we are 100 years as a nation and beyond in law and make sure that nobody ever takes us backward in terms of what we want to aspire to get to as a nation. Lastly, Your Excellency, in the interest of time, Mheshimiwa Esther Saris, the county women rep for Nairobi, reminds me and told me I must say this if I get that opportunity, and she doesn't get, that when Singapore aspired to be what it is today, they had a consideration on their population growth and family planning. And she tells me and reminds me that President Mwai Kibaki, in around 2008 when we were doing Vision 2030, did speak to us on the need to look at our population growth and how we plan for that population growth. Your Excellency is food for thought, because you've also told us that by the year, you say 2050, a quarter of the population, world population, will be in Africa. Population is both a resource, but can also be a burden to a nation's economy. And therefore, there must be a very good balance between the rate at which our population grows and the rate at which we grow our economy. And those are the challenges that we must think about as we continue in this conversation. Your Excellency, let me give you the assurance of both houses of parliament that we shall do all that it takes. And indeed, Your Excellency wanted to suggest that probably, because parliament work through committees, I do not know whether through this forum, we could also constitute committees that will go out, probably one to sit in Nairobi and another that goes around the country, collecting and collating the views of Kenyans so that every part of our country feels that they are part and parcel of this process. As Mugo Kibati told us, being the first CEO of the Vision 2030, there's probably something we didn't get right when we started this process of Vision 2030. We never really involved the people, and we left it to be a process that was largely seen to be a process of bureaucrats in government, and probably that is why many Kenyans never hold successive administrations after the Kibaki administration on what we are doing towards the realization of Vision 2030. The other thing Mogo told us is that we never anchored this process into law, and that's why Your Excellency agreed with what you said. It is time that we anchored this process into law. With those many remarks, Your Excellency, wacha nikomee hapo na sote tuendelee na mazungumzo.
Okay. Can I, let me get representations from three final ones. A member of the civil society, what suggestion do you have for us in terms of taking this process forward, do we set up a multi-sectoral committee? Do we set up a task force? Do we do it in law, or how do we do it? Can I have somebody from civil society to give us a suggestion? Daisy? Then maybe somebody from the religious community will give us their suggestion. And then finally, get somebody from the private sector to give us their suggestion.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I want to agree with those who have said that it needs to be anchored in law. For sure, the vision has to exist beyond any political formation, any political leader. And so we are happy to hear the majority leader say that Parliament will make the necessary legislation. But in terms of participation, I think having an initial multi-sectoral forum would do well so that you are able to involve as many different sectors, because the gentleman here has asked me to insist and say that even minority communities must be included. We may talk about communities, but within those communities, we have other communities whose voices need to be heard. And so I think that to structure it, we do need to have a multi-sectoral engagement with the different players. Even when you talk about civil society, it is very wide. We have women's rights organizations, human rights defenders, and a host of them all. And so moving forward, I hope that we can have a framework that guarantees that every voice, at least representatives from the different voices, will be heard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Somebody from faith-based to give us suggestion on how they think this should go forward. Okay, we have a bishop there. Maybe you can let us know your name.
My name is Kanga from the National Council of Churches of Kenya. And we have nothing to add or nothing to subtract. But as Nate has said, we have an all-round task force to put everything together, and then we put in action. Simple. The vision is there. The vision is documented. The vision is be sold to people. The people have to buy it. We give it time, and then be accomplished before 2030 as we move on. It will be illogical to know that we have today and you don't think about tomorrow. You have tomorrow, you don't think about a day after tomorrow. If you do that, that's illogical. We have the vision, have an all-round task force to do the needful, collect information, sell it to the people, come back again, and then get running. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Somebody from the private sector? Yes.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'm Dr. Ruto Eric, the President of the Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry. We're very happy with this vision because, Your Excellency, if you look at Vision 2030, on the political wing, I think we scored 100%, if not beyond. In terms of the social aspects, we most likely scored 80%. But when it comes to the economic side, Your Excellency, I think that is where we are not doing very well. That for us in the private sector, when you tell us that we want to go to Singapore, I was seated there and I was thinking, I should be very proud as a Singaporean that Kenya today is at standstill and we want to go to Singapore. Us in the private sector, when you tell us that our turnover should increase 40, 50 times. We want to do business where there is wealth. And Your Excellency, we are 100% in support as the Kenya National Chambers of Commerce that we represent all sizes of businesses from across the country, as far as Mandera, as far as Lamu, I was there 2 weeks ago, that we welcome your idea that this become a citizen-driven and multi-stakeholder driven, and with the private sector, we want to assure Kenyans and Your Excellency that we will be in support and we will be in each and every village in this country so that we can collect their views and bring it here so that we can be able to see that Kenya. When you talk about 2063, as in the private sector, we are seeing that it is too far. Because when we wake up in the morning every day, we want to be wealthy. And that wealth that you want to create for us, we want to see it even if it's possible. We are impatient. We should see it in 2030. So that 2030 we can start another agenda of 2100. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Today is the International Youth Day. And we have huge representation of young people in our midst. Can I get one young person to come to the stage? And there is a lady already there. Yeah? Allow the lady in maroon to give us an idea as to how do we take this forward in your context. Apart from hackathon, how else do you want us to take this forward? Na kabla hujasema, utatueleza bag ni ya nini?
Thank you so much, Mr. President. They do say, power is done what? Is grabbed. Sindio? So I came for my chance. My name is Ruth Kemto Ziko. I come from Bomecho University. I'm the school president. Nilinua mkono huko sana lakini hawakunipea. So nimeamua kuikujia mwenyewe. So Mr. President, before maybe I give on the way forward, I had some good agendas that I wanted to give on this vision beyond 2030. 2030 is for the youths, is for the children that were here. So whatever that the parliament, the people sitting here will be doing is for us. It's for the coming generation. So give us the voice. Give us time, we give you our grievances. Number one, let's talk about, you are talking about Singapore. Singapore sahi haina deni. So as we think on going to beyond 2030, let's think on how can we get away with all the debts that Kenya is having for any country. Number two, I'm talking about constitutional implementation. Women, we are the majority in Kenya, right? Why can't we implement the constitution to have the president, if it's a man, let the deputy be a lady, right? And lastly, being honest, Mr. President, employment is what the youths want. But not every youth will be employed because sisi ni wengi na sisi wote tumesoma. But because unemployment is an issue to us, why don't you bring up the policies that will give funds to innovators, fund talents, fund support different people, give them money like the Nyota for self-employment. And for that, Mr. President, bring Nyota to universities and colleges. We are innovators too. And lastly, it's about the help, scholarship, and funding in different universities and TVETs. As we think of beyond 2030, let's make education free for every Kenyan child, from primary, secondary to high school. Let no child cry because eti akwenda university juu akwa na pesa, sindio? Make it free. And lastly, me being a teacher of special needs education, as that young man said, factor in these special needs people. They are being left behind in our society. For the first time, with the government, bring them in. Otherwise, Mr. President, you are doing a good job. For all the president went tumejua hapa nyuma before tuzaliwe na wengine wamekuwa uko number 1 for now. And kwa yote, you called me to give on what the way forward.
Yes.
One of the way forward, include these university students in that. Bring research everywhere. If it's each county has a university. And Mr. President, if there is a county that has no university, in this vision beyond 2030, include every county to have a university so that it can factor in every learner. So for that, include the university students, the college students, and the high school and primary students. I've seen one here. She's very clever than me, in fact. So let's have their views because they are very educated. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. I think that wraps up. She has said very fundamentally that education must be free. And I agree with her 100%. And that speaks to our members of parliament. You know, we have sent to parliament the tertiary education placement and funding bill. Tertiary education funding, placement and funding bill. We want that bill as soon as possible to get out of parliament so that we can implement a program that every child that is placed in a learning institution, in a TVET, in a Kenya Medical Training College, or in a university, all of them get funding for their education without exception. And that learning and education is not pegged on the ability of the parent. It is pegged on the intellectual capacity of every student. You do the course for which you are suited and you have applied for. And government of Kenya must make sure that funding is available. That is already in the works. And you have told us we should include young people, we should include universities in this process, and therefore I think we are set. Thank you very much. Hand it over to the people running the program.
All right, and at this point I'd like to say let us all just give a warm clap to ourselves, appreciating the fact that when history is written, your name will be written as one of those who sat through the process that changed the trajectory of this country. Another loud clap for yourselves, please. Your Excellency, with your permission, that brings us to the end of this session. I'll request that we all be upstanding. We shall finish with the national anthem as our prayer, which we all know. So let us have the national anthem as our closing prayer. The anthem.